everyone. It's wonderful to have all of you here. My name is Naseem Bano, and I'm leading the solution engineering and customer experience for the India team at Dataiku. But today, I'm here not only as a member of this organization, but also as a proud WIDS ambassador. This is the very first time we are hosting our WIDS event in this beautiful city of Dubai, a place where innovation meets ambition and vision for technology's future truly comes alive. So we are very, very excited, and I would like to thank you once again for this mission here. For anyone who is new to WIDS, let me just tell you that Women in Data Science is a non-profit initiative that was started by Stanford University back in 2015 with the profound mission of empowering women in the field of data science. And they had a dedicated mission of increasing women empowerment by 30% by 2030. And today, so this has become a global movement today where we have more than 1,000 ambassadors conducting regional events, and we have already completed more than 200 of them to profound and empower women in the field of data and AI. And at Dataiku, we truly believe in this mission. We have more than 25 WIDS ambassadors across the globe leading initiatives, conducting these events to empower women in the field of data and AI. At Dataiku, we really believe in creating a culture where women can come forward and be empowered and have an environment where they feel seen, heard, supported, and valued. On that note, I would also like to mention that today is a big milestone for us. And we are just not here to talk about diversity, we are really here to act on it. Because diversity doesn't just bring different perspective on the table, it really delivers greater results. Studies have shown that McKinsey & Company published a research that clearly states that gender diverse team has 21% more likely to experience better results. And BCG suggests that a diverse management team delivers 19% more revenue than their competitors. So I would just like to highlight that diversity, it's not just a social responsibility. It's a strategic advantage. And we are here to act on it. On that note, I would also like to thank my WIDS ambassador team, Ekta, Stephanie, and Umut, for their incredible support and dedication throughout this journey and making this day possible. And also a special mention to Geetika Sood, Director of Data Analytics and AI at Wipro, for co-sponsoring our pre-event dinner yesterday night. We had a close gathering with data leaders yesterday where really reflected on the current scenario of gender diversity and decided to support and come forward and make a more inclusive and diverse workplace for women empowerment. And let me just tell you that we have a great panel discussion lined up today with our leaders here who have tremendously shown extraordinary work in this field. This panel discussion topic is very crucial for everyone navigating through the world of AI. These incredible leaders will also share insights on making impactful, strategic AI decisions that truly delivers results. On that note, I would like to invite two of my fellow ambassadors, Stephanie and Ekta, to help us get started. Thank you.
Thank you, Naseem. So, I would like to set the scene for this panel. All of us, we are using data, we are using AI, but why? First, I want all of you to think about three things before we're going to listen to our panelists. What is ROAI, return on investment? What is the value you want to create through data and AI? And I use the word value, because value can have different meanings. I'll let you think. Second point, why? I want you to be creative. If everybody is using AI, we're all going to get the same result. But if you use AI and data creatively, you're going to reach different type of business results. And how? We're going to go through that with the panelists that I'm very happy to invite on stage. And bear with me, they are data scientists, they have a background, a strong analytical background, but they are also data artists. And that's why it's going to be great to mix those to answer that question. What is the value we want to build? Please, can you come on stage?
Can you see that side? Yes. Abir, you can.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are creating history today because this is the first everyday AI in the region, and you are an integral part of it. So thank you for being here and creating history with us. We wanted to welcome our esteemed panel. So these ladies are experts, and they come from diverse backgrounds. We have representation from consulting, that's Abir. We have representation from the private sector, Shri and Yashika, and public sector, that's Latifa right there. So today we're going to be talking about reimagining ROAI, or return on analytics investment. And we're going to hear from each of these ladies their unique perspective of how AI is reshaping value. So let me start with Abir. Abir, you work with multiple sectors at Accenture. How do you see enterprises balancing economic value, or the dollar value, vis-a-vis social impact, driving sustainability, or just enhancing customer experience?
First of all, good afternoon. It's really wonderful to connect with this amazing community. To your point, we see globally that there's a lot of focus on AI, value measurement in terms of productivity and economic returns, but indeed, each and every sector has a core mission outcome. If we talk about healthcare, it's about improving people's well-being and lives. If we talk about education, it's about learning. If we talk about energy, it's about forecasting and ensuring energy capacity in light of the growth that we see, plus the sustainability angle, plus the safety. So each of these different sectors has a core mission where AI can contribute, right? So we need to also look at how AI can impact people's lives in terms of citizen experience or customer experience, in terms of employee well-being and happiness, in terms of safety, in terms of environmental outcomes, and all of this really comes down to the specificity of these different sectors. So indeed, when we embark on this journey of measuring value, we look at the core mission and help define where AI can contribute and drive that level of impact. And indeed, it's also a very dynamic concept. We can start with an AI idea that can translate into a use case, but how well indeed you implement this use case can drive completely different outcomes as you go along, right? So tracking as well the level of adoption, understanding as well feedback from the different users can play a key role in getting the value estimated, indeed realized, and be able to scale it over time. So the dynamic aspect of value as well is key for investors in the space to understand and to build the right capability to monitor and drive adoption.
Abir, you mentioned citizen and well-being, so that lead me to think about Latifa. You're focusing on public service, and sometimes I've got people telling me, but what is ROI in public service? And I thought, who better than you could answer that question?
Thank you, first of all, so much for the invite. And I love seeing a lot of women in the crowd as well here today. So back to ROI and why the government exists. So the government exists to support in terms of quality of life and well-being. And in the Emirate of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid set a vision from 2 decades ago, from the 2001, to all government services should go E. And from that day, we moved from E to smart to digital. And today, everyone can have access to a lot of services. There's more than 100 services from Dubai and Abu Dhabi, from TEM or the Dubai Now app that's integrated. And what that supports people living in the Emirate is actually giving them a perspective of their own information and their own data and their own spending. And if this month you had a lot of fines, you would see that on the app as well and give you that space to do other things and make use of their time. So not only that, we also focus on looking at other perspectives, such as not only collecting this data and analyzing it for improving services, but as well you see a shift now with the open data movement that came into play, and the value of what that brings is it supports startups, it supports researchers, and AI today, like if anyone uses UDrive, this is an app built on open data, which supports using AI and using information to order delivery and know where to park safely. So there's a lot of perspectives in terms of supporting people's lives and well-being that really is crucial when it comes to government services and enhances of services. One more nice example, I think we all heard about the happiness index and happiness centers. And once you leave the happiness center, you can click, are you happy with the service? So this is the quality of detail that Dubai and the UAE is going to when it comes to government services as well.
So we moved from pure economic and dollar to well-being, happiness. So different type of ROI that we need to think about. Is there any other type of ROI, Hector, that we should think about?
Definitely, and coming to Shri now, since she's from the food industry, Shri, if you can just give us some concrete examples of tangible versus intangible value use cases.
Hello everyone, good to see everyone here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Shri Lakshmi. I'm from Swiss Foods. I'm a banker moved into baking. Of 18 years I have been into banking and moved recently into food industry. That's because of my curiosity to learn new things. Coming to the point of the ROI, see, ROI is inevitable. Doesn't matter whether you're doing an AI or a BI or a simple project towards any automation for that matter. So ROI is basically of two types, a tangible and an intangible, as you said. Now, what is the primary difference between these two? Is purely dependent on the use case that you're picking to do. Yeah. Now, when you take up a use case to start with, you know why you're doing that use case. If you know it, then you know your ROI. If you don't know what you're doing, then you don't know how to calculate your ROI. Let me give you an example. If you're doing a sales model, you just want to predict who will take your next product, or who will buy in your store, or who will come to your store. You then basically know, okay, these are my set of customers. There is a 90% of probability that they will come in and they'll buy this product. Now, if they really turn up, then it's a success to the model, which means the sales that you incur through that customer is the value created by your model. So there are certain math which you can put around the models and you can calculate that impact, which is a tangible one. Okay. But is it that all matters? No. You know, there is an intangible area of calculating your ROI, which is more to do with your employee experience, you're more to do with the customer experience, more to do with your processes, more to do with the people, more to do with things that at the back end will enable these sales to happen. And unfortunately, these are the areas which are left out. People don't really look at implementing any technology for that matter, not only AI, into area that impacts that experience of making people come, okay, I have a wonderful product, I do amazing analytics, I have this prediction model, but are your people liking the products that you're actually making? Have you heard how many of the organization read that customer experience at xyz.com? You print that email ID on every of your product, and there are numerous emails that come, but have you ever read through all those emails? Did you see what your customers are saying? You know, when you pay attention to that unstructured data, when you see that problem areas that your customers are talking about, they're talking about there's too much sugar in your product. You know, your chocolate is like too chocolatey. Can you change this flavor? You know, this product looks too pink. But these are the tangible feedback that's coming from that unstructured data. This can be translated into a use case. Work on your efficiency, work on your quality, work on your product change. It impacts sales, it gives you something tangible, which is your revenue impact. So these are dots that are interconnected, and when you look at one perspective from only one angle, then you miss the beautiful picture of how the entire solution can be built, you know. And embracing AI into something which is very valuable. You know, people talk about, how do I start AI? You know, there's too much to do. Jump directly onto Gen AI use cases. It doesn't work like that. You know, when you learn to drive, there are steps that you take. You know, when you want to adopt an AI, there are steps that you need to take. Know your data, keep it small, keep it real. What do I mean by that? You need to know which data in your organization has a certain respectable level of quality. You identify a small use case where you start small, but real. What do I mean by real? Keep it real, which means you're actually trying to start slow with the real data and solve a real problem, which makes your subsequent steps very easy.
I really like your classification, tangible, intangible. The intangible, we also call it the platform use gain, and that's the productivity and the efficiency. But that's not enough, because if you're efficient, why are you efficient? What are you doing
exactly
with that new efficiency? And then you refer to the use case themselves, where we need to actually express value in terms of well-being, sustainability, safety. And I want to have time to speak about the safety
I just wanted to add one more point. My personal learning yesterday from our evening dinner, the men who were not allowed, it was a women's dinner only. One use case that Geetika presented really made me think, which I actually missed on. There are learnings. We are here because of our experiences. She spoke about having your e-commerce website inclusive for people who cannot see and come shop the way you are able to shop. That really made me thinking. I really go back to our e-commerce website, and I am going to do that change where I will make it more inclusive. I think I need to apologize for my solution design that I did not look at that aspect, which made me really think. Thanks, Geetika, for bringing that thing. The reason I say that is because it's a value that we are going to create to the society. It's not always about the money. It's about giving back to the society, or I'm not just trying to exaggerate and say it to look good on the panel, but yes, we as leaders have that responsibility of using this technology for tangible, intangible, also for value creation for the society. Because we need to make it more and more sustainable with things that are getting more and more crazier.
So, to your point, AI sometimes can be just neutral.
Yeah.
Is that such a bad thing to have a neutral AI from an economic perspective? Maybe not, because actually we make some advancement, and as we spoke about with that use case, we're learning other things and we're gaining a different type of value. I want absolutely Yashika to be able to articulate the safety aspect. So Yashika, you work in the health industry. It's easy to make money in the health industry. It's less easy to balance it with the ethical aspect of data. Can you help us to understand how you do it?
Thanks for your question. So a lot of the use cases that come across my desk are usually technically feasible, but the question it always boils down to is, surely we can do it, but should we do it? So this idea of applying ethics is part of our governance process. It's quite foundational, and it acts as a gatekeeper and determines whether we can move ahead or we cannot move ahead with that particular use case. So in the healthcare sector, we have access to a lot of sensitive data. Other than your personal information, like your name, date of birth, nationality, we also have access to things like the medication you're taking, the doctors you're visiting, the treatments you have. This is quite sensitive, it is quite personal, so we really, as data leaders, have to be careful about how we respect the data we've been trusted with. So it is our role as leaders to protect that information.
How do you sell those ideas internally?
So we have a governance process. We build guardrails around what it is. So each use case goes through these guardrails. These guardrails have a certain set of themes. Some of them around with what type of data are we using? Does it contain PII? Does it contain health data? So we have to think about things differently depending on the use case. We also consider things like regulation. Are we outside of any regulatory boundaries? We consider things like residency and other areas. But one of the main areas for us in healthcare is consent. Do we have consent of the data subject? So, as data scientists, we get really excited when we see lots of data, but the data was created through some legal agreement and it was captured for a certain use case. Now, are we actually allowed to use the data beyond that use case? So we do tend to get excited when the data is there. So for us in healthcare,
If you think about a table of data, rows and columns, each row for us is a person. We've captured data points on a person, and how do these people feel about us using that data in an AI and ML model? Have they given us consent to do that? So this is something we actively think about before we go ahead with any use case.
I like the way Yashika is thinking about everything, and she told me, have you thought when you open your phone with your face, what can they do with your picture? And I must say, I don't always ask myself enough questions regarding that.
Honestly, I mean, I personally don't share it. I mean, for every other iPhone user out there, I do question as a data subject, what are they collecting my data for? And is it needed for the use case that they're going to be using it for? For example, to open a phone, do I really need to give them my facial image? Can I not just use a pen? These are things that we need to think about more actively in our day-to-day life, but I don't think we do. We tend to kind of lean on convenience over just thinking about what it is that's happening.
So, to conclude the panel, if you had one piece of advice to give to our audience regarding return on investment of AI, in 2 keywords, what would it be? Starting with Abir.
I'll make them 3 quick points. One is co-create your AI agenda with the business in line with your top strategy, so lead with the value in mind. 2, make sure your digital core is ready. That covers your data access, that covers alignment with regulations, your cloud, enabling platforms to do AI like Dataiku. So that's the second one. And third one, don't underestimate change management. You need to bring people on board and even designing these use cases, because even if you build the most amazing models, unless they're adopted, you won't realize the intended value.
Latifa, what can we learn from public services? What is your advice for the audience?
For me, it's just keep using the services, keep giving us feedback, but most probably is there's a lot of services out there where you can access and learn about AI and improve your knowledge internally. And sometimes we need to look beyond the ROI when it comes to private sector, and we think PPP. So how can we support the government, how we can support the private sector as well, and build an AI solution that can support everyone as well.
Thank you. Sri.
The advice is in general for all of us. I would just say fear is a natural phenomenon when everything happens for the first time. You're fearful, you were fearful when you went on your first date, when you went to the college for the first day, when we wanted to marry, when we wanted to have kids. So let go of the fear, embrace the technology, and empower yourselves, adapt it, and be resilient. Don't have to have a fear of losing our charm or losing a job, losing things. It's a beauty is of how you identify, how smartly are you going to use this technology. It's not here to take away any jobs. Maybe those jobs which can be repurposed, upskilled into trying to do something. Previously, where a nurse used to do a reading of the documents, she is now taking care of the patient while the documents are read by a machine to give her the ready-made information. So areas where empathy, humans are still remain, where human resources, people care, empathy comes, it is going to be there. Imagine you sitting in front of a bot and having a personal therapy session. You crying and it says, can we move on to the next question? Doesn't work. So let go of fear and embrace the technology is my advice to the leaders, to the people, job seekers, and everyone. Thank you.
Yashika.
For me, I'd say keep it simple. I find because the world tries to be an AI-first company, we don't need to be AI-first. I think we need to be solve the problem in the simplest way. It's quite expensive to run models, so I think keeping it simple is the best option.
Okay, so for me, the highest ROAI would be, I would think as a mom, and I'm a mom of twin boys, very, very diverse abilities and capabilities. So personalized learning programs based on AI. That's the highest ROAI for me.
Great, I second that. My assignments of the children can be dedicated.
So my advice and tips for you would be to broaden the scope and the definition of ROAI, and don't just think about economic value, think about sustainability, think about social, think about well-being, think about culture.
Yeah.
Having all LLM in just English is a catastrophe. And I'm so happy with the initiative here to have LLMs in Arabic, because we need to have different perspective and angle to analyze the world. On that note, thank you very much for listening to us. I don't think we have time for questions. I'm turning my head towards the organizer. No, okay. So thank you, and now we can have lunch.
Thank you so much. Thank you.